This is Danny Gathone for ESBR Boxing in the Trafford Centre in Manchester ahead of the open workouts for Liam Smith versus Smith-Eubank Jr. Pleasure to be joined by middleweight contender, turned pundit, turned podcaster, Matt Macklin. Matt, first big British show of the year. Good to get back at it.
Oh yeah, can't wait, and off with a bang as well. This first show of the year, and if the main event ends up being as good as I think it will be, then I think we could be witnessing the fight of the year in the first show of the year. So if it lives up to what most people think this fight's going to go, then I think this fight is going to take some beating throughout the year.
That's the thing. You speak to people, and I've not spoke to anyone, be it fighter, pundit, anyone who thinks this is going to be a bad fight. Just so many variables to consider. First thing I want to talk about to you, it's up at 160, Eubank's natural home. You sort of get two stories with what people think, who that's going to favour. The obvious answer is it'll favour Eubank. He's been campaigning there, and Smith's never boxed ahead of super welterweight. But I've seen people say that at this stage in Liam Smith's career, he's 34, maybe not having to cut that extra bit of weight could serve him well. As a former fighter, you've been there. Once you get to the later stages of his career, will Liam Smith maybe be thankful for not having to cut those extra 6 pounds?
Yeah, I'd say so. He takes quite a lot of weight off the last week anyway, water cut, etc. But I think definitely the fact that's 6 pounds he won't have to take off. That'll be a good thing in terms he'll have more energy in the fight, I'd imagine. Feel a lot more comfortable even the last couple of weeks because he won't have to get down as light. But you can't get away from the fact that Eubank is the career-long middleweight. He's actually been at super middleweight and in with good opposition at super middleweight. So he has the natural size advantage.
And just on Eubank, we've sort of seen this Eubank 2.0 under Roy Jones Jr. He's sort of completely changed the style really from what you saw in his early career. And again, that's something that you hear sort of two schools of thought on. There's people say, oh, he's improved his fundamentals, he's a more rounded boxer, and then you get people calling him a sort of pound shop Roy Jones. Liam Smith said he hopes he comes in with that style. He thinks it'll favour him more. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree. I think if Eubank comes out and boxes, moves, boxes, tries to bag a few of the early rounds, he may go behind on the cards, because I think Liam will win those rounds if he tries to do that. And then he's got to try and chase the fight. Also, Liam would warmed into it. He's however many rounds into the fight. Then I think this fight will catch. Even if Eubank does that, I don't think he'll try and do that and maintain that, because I don't think it'll work. I think he may warm into the fight and just try and get into the fight a little bit and do that, but I think this fight will catch fire at some point. I think if Eubank tries to box, then I think that plays into Liam's hands. I think the best thing for Eubank, worst thing for Liam, is if Eubank comes out right at the very first bell, looks to stand in the centre of the ring and go toe to toe with Liam, because 12 rounds is a long time for a fight to be fought at that that ferocity, with that intensity. And I think Eubank is bigger. I would say he does hit the harder of the two. Solid chin, and not just the stamina, but I would say he's probably the fresher of the two. I think there's miles on the clock for both men, but I would say if I had to say who was the fresher, it's probably Eubank. So I think if he looks to engage from the first bell and just initiate war, so to speak, then I think that could be his. That's going to favour Eubank. I think if he tries to box early, that'll favour Smith.
It's a brilliant undercard as well. We'll not go through every fight because I appreciate being very busy here. Reactor Glowacki, great fight. Esselman Congo for the British, unreal fight. But just wanted to get your thoughts on Joseph Parker versus Jack Massey. When that was announced on social media, I don't think there was anyone saying it was a particularly bad fight. I just think it was sort of raised a few eyebrows. They're just two fighters that seemed almost in different worlds. Obviously Massey campaigned to cruiserweight and more sort of a British level, where Parker's sort of been in big international heavyweight fights for the past 5-6 years. What was your reaction when you first saw that?
Yeah, it was a little bit left field. It kind of came out of nowhere. Didn't see that one coming. But when I looked a bit closer, then I thought, that's not a bad fight. Parker had that defeat against Joe Joyce. He had a couple of defeats in his career. There's miles on the clock there. Massey hasn't probably been as active as he would have liked, but he had a very close fight with Riakporhe, and if you know that's a performance that has aged, you know, has got even better with age. So, you know, as things have gone on, Riakporhe's improved, and look what he's gone on to achieve. That puts the performance by Massey in better light, and you know, timing. I don't know how, you know, which one, he'll be giving away size, obviously, but you know, maybe he feels that this is the time for him to step up and grow a bit into the heavyweight division. Maybe he sees his future there. But it, you know, it definitely was a left field fight. Didn't see it coming, but interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just while I've got you, Matt, just want to touch on a few topics away from Saturday night. Anthony Joshua looks to have, you know, finally sort of settled on a trainer. There's been no confirmation as to who it is, but it seems very likely that it's going to be Derek James. What's your thoughts on that link-up? Do you think it's a good move for AJ?
Yeah, look, you know, Derek James has had a lot of success with a lot of good fighters, so I'm sure he's a good trainer. Is he the right man for Joshua? Look, I think where Joshua is in his career, he is what he is, really. You know, you're really literally just, it's minimal differences, but that can be the difference between winning and losing. I think I said it before, might have been to yourself, one of the other guys has said that I'd like to have seen him, you know, build on the work he'd done with Robert Garcia. I thought his performance against Usyk in Saudi Arabia was better than the performance at Tottenham. They had spent quite a lot of time together. They took a time, you know, to get to know each other, build a relationship, because that's what it is. You know, it takes for a trainer to really have a significant impact with a fighter. It takes a few fights. So I would have liked chopping and changing. You know, look, you can't reinvent the wheel, but Derek James will have will want to put his imprint on things, and then so if he's he's teaching new things to Joshua, and Joshua's trying to learn these new things, which will probably feel uncomfortable at first, before he really gets on top of them, really perfects them, really integrates it into his style. That could take a couple of fights. So I don't know. I thought they did well together, him and Garcia. I would have. My initial thing was I'd like to have seen build on that, but you know, it's his decision, isn't it?
We'll see how it develops. Just last one, because there's a bit of a queue forming. It looks likely that we're going to see a return to the ring sooner than we might have thought for Conor Benn. The WBC have come out. You know, Mauricio Suleiman said he's not under any official ban. He doesn't have a British licence at the minute, but Eddie Hearn said they're going to make a move in his career. That was his words. Just as a former fighter yourself, how does that sit with you when there's still this sort of cloud hanging over him? He's not proved it innocent. There's still been no conclusion to the case, but yet you could see him fight again potentially under a different licence and an international card.
I think it's a bad situation, and I think it's creating a very dangerous precedent. You know, obviously I don't know all the ins and outs. I only know as much as anyone else does, watching things on Twitter and interviews, etc. But it seems like the only facts as of now today are that he's failed 2 tests. Whatever the reason or whatever the explanation for that is, it was in his system twice. So I don't know, but it's. I don't know, it's a bad situation. I think it's a bad situation, and I think it looks bad all round. If it comes out and it's proven that he was innocent, then I'd be delighted if that was the case, but I don't, because, you know, I know Conor Benn, he's a nice lad and he's good, you know, he's an exciting fighter, but, you know, it's ultimately, you know, if you have, what's the point in paying for Vada to do random drug tests if you're just going to ignore the results? What's the point? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say too much. I don't know the facts, all the ins and outs. I'm only just observing it from the outside. So, you know, I don't want to. It's just a bad situation. It's a bad situation, and it's going on, and it'd be just nice to see it come to a conclusive end, one way or the other.
I think we can all echo that. Matt, you've given us plenty of your time there, so thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the fight week. Cheers.
Right, cheers.